When my best friend asked me to help her cheat, I said no. But when I saw her copying from me, I had two choices: protect her or do the right thing. I never thought honesty would hurt this bad. I never thought a simple exam could destroy a friendship that had lasted almost 10 years. But that's exactly what happened. My name's Maya, and for as long as I can remember, Lily and I were inseparable. We met in second grade, bonded over our shared obsession with doodling in our notebooks, and since then, it was always Maya and Lily, never one without the other. So when finals week arrived during our senior year, we promised to study together like we always did. Except something felt off this time. Lily seemed distracted, nervous even. She barely touched her notes, and every time I reminded her to focus, she brushed it off with a joke. The night before our big psychology exam, she called me. Her voice was shaky, uncertain. "Maya," she said quietly, "I need your help tomorrow. I can't fail this class." I frowned, confused. "Of course, I'll help you study, but..." "No," she interrupted, "not study. I mean, during the exam. Just let me see your answers, okay? Please. I swear it's just this once." My stomach twisted. I thought she was kidding, but she wasn't. "Lily, that's cheating," I said softly. "I know," she whispered, "but my grades are slipping, my parents are already furious, and I can't deal with failing. Please, Maya, you're my best friend. Don't let me down." That last line cut deep. Don't let me down. As if saying no would make me the bad guy. I spent the whole night tossing and turning, torn between my conscience and my loyalty. Lily had always been there for me through breakups, fights with my mom, every heartbreak imaginable. But this wasn't like lending her a pen or covering for her at a party. This was serious. The next morning, she sat beside me in the exam hall. Her eyes darted toward my paper before the test even began. I whispered, "Don't do this." But she just smiled nervously and said, "You won't even notice." The exam started. I tried to focus, but my heart pounded in my chest. Every few minutes, I could feel her eyes flick toward my paper. I tried to move my arm, cover my answers, but she kept leaning closer. And then I saw it. Her phone, hidden under her sleeve, glowing faintly. She was snapping photos of my answers. That's when I froze. The girl I trusted most was betraying me, right in front of me. When the bell rang and the professor collected our papers, I knew I couldn't keep it a secret. Not this time. That single moment, that single choice, would cost me everything. Would you report your best friend if you caught them cheating, or would you stay silent to protect them? After the exam ended, I just sat there staring at my desk long after everyone else had left. My hands were still trembling. The room was quiet except for the faint sound of papers being shuffled at the teacher's desk. Lily brushed past me, grinning like nothing happened. "Thanks, Maya," she whispered, giving me a quick wink before walking out. That smile, it made my stomach twist. She wasn't even sorry, not even a little. I stayed frozen for a while, trying to convince myself to just let it go. Maybe she didn't mean it. Maybe she panicked. Maybe I was overreacting. But deep down, I knew I wasn't. She cheated. She used me. And now I was the one drowning in guilt. When I finally gathered the courage, I walked up to Professor Reynolds' desk. He was a kind man, strict but fair. My voice shook as I said, "Sir, can I talk to you for a second?" He looked up from his papers. "Of course, Maya." "What's wrong?" I hesitated, staring at the floor. My heart raced. "It's about the exam," I said slowly. "Someone was copying my answers." His brow furrowed. "Do you know who?" My throat tightened. Saying her name felt like betrayal, like I was tearing a piece of my own heart out. But I forced the words out anyway. It was Lily. My friend, there was a long silence. He didn't scold me, didn't look shocked, just nodded. "Thank you for being honest, Maya. I'll handle it discreetly." I nodded, feeling both relief and dread crash over me. I didn't want her punished. I just couldn't live with the lie. That evening, Lily texted me. "Lily, hey, the professor called me in. Did you say something?" I stared at my phone, my fingers shaking. I didn't reply. 10 minutes later, another text came. "Lily, you did, didn't you? Wow, after everything I've done for you?" My chest felt heavy. I typed back, "You cheated, Lily. I couldn't lie for you." She left me on read. By the next morning, everyone in our friend group knew. I didn't even get a chance to explain. At lunch, they all sat together, every single one of them, and not one looked at me. Lily was in the middle, crying into someone's shoulder, whispering things I couldn't hear. When I tried to sit down, Jenna, one of our mutual friends, looked up at me coldly and said, "You really reported your best friend? That's messed up." She cheated," I stammered. But no one cared. They'd already chosen sides. For the first time in years, I ate alone. And as I sat there, staring at the empty seat across from me, the one Lily always filled, I wondered if telling the truth had really been worth it. If your entire friend group turned against you for doing the right thing, would you still stand by your choice, or apologize just to get them back? The next few days felt like walking through a fog where everyone whispered behind my back. Hallways that once felt familiar suddenly turned cold. People stopped smiling when I passed. Conversations would die the moment I came near. I didn't realize how quickly rumors spread until I overheard one. "She snitched on Lily," someone said near the lockers. What kind of friend is that? I wanted to scream that I wasn't some monster, that I'd done it because I believed in honesty, not cruelty, but my voice always caught in my throat. Lily avoided me completely. In class, she sat as far away as possible. When we locked eyes once, just once, there was something in her expression I'd never seen before. Disgust, not anger, disgust. I spent my lunches in the library after that. It became my hiding spot, the one place where no one would stare or whisper. I'd sit between the shelves, pretending to read, but mostly just staring at the pages while replaying everything in my head. Had I been too harsh? Should I have just kept quiet and talked to her privately instead? Maybe then things wouldn't have fallen apart. But then another memory would hit me, her winking after cheating, her pretending like it was no big deal, and the guilt turned into anger. She had betrayed me first. One afternoon, Professor Reynolds asked me to stay after class. My stomach dropped, thinking I was in trouble. But he just gave me a soft look and said, "I know this must be hard for you, Maya. What you did took courage." Most students wouldn't have said anything. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to feel proud. But instead, tears welled in my eyes. "Everyone hates me," I whispered, "even my friends." He sighed gently. "Doing the right thing doesn't always make you popular. Sometimes it makes you lonely. But that doesn't mean it wasn't right. I nodded, even though his words didn't make the loneliness hurt any less. That night, I opened Instagram, hoping to distract myself. Big mistake. Lily had posted a story, a picture of her and our entire friend group at a cafe. The caption read, "Some people show their true colors when it matters most." My name wasn't there, but it didn't need to be. Everyone knew. My DMs were full of mixed messages. Some said I was brave. Others called me a traitor. But the worst one came from Lily herself. "Lily, I hope you're happy. You ruined my life. And for what? A few marks on an exam?" I wanted to respond, but I didn't. For the first time in my life, I had nothing left to say. Would you confront your ex-best friend after seeing her post about you? Or would you stay silent and move on? A week passed, and the silence from Lily still echoed louder than any words could. I'd never gone this long without hearing from her. No random memes, no late-night calls, no shared laughter between classes. It was like she'd erased me from her life completely. And honestly, maybe I deserved it. That's what I kept telling myself. Every morning, I'd sit in class pretending to take notes, but my mind always drifted. I'd glance at Lily, her head down, earbuds in, surrounded by friends who used to be mine. She looked fine, like none of this had touched her. Meanwhile, I was barely sleeping, barely eating, drowning in guilt and confusion. One day, I walked past the teacher's office and overheard two professors talking in low voices. I didn't mean to listen, but when I heard Lily's name, I froze. She denied everything, one said, claimed Maya was lying out of jealousy. My breath caught. Lying? Jealousy? She even said Maya was obsessed with getting better grades, the other added. Poor girl. She's in real trouble now. Her parents are furious. I leaned against the wall, my heart pounding. So Lily wasn't just avoiding me, she was turning the whole story around. I felt sick. That afternoon, I finally decided to talk to her. I couldn't live like this, suffocating under rumors and silence. I found her by the courtyard, laughing with Jenna and the others. My hands were shaking, but I walked straight toward her. "Lily," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. She turned, her smile fading instantly. "What do you want, Maya?" "I just want to talk," I said quietly. "Please." She sighed dramatically. "Fine. You've already said enough behind my back, haven't you?" "That's not fair," I whispered. "You cheated, Lily. I saw you. You took photos of my paper." I didn't lie. Her jaw tightened. "You think you're so perfect, don't you? Always top of the class. Always the teacher's favorite. You just couldn't stand the idea of me getting the same marks." "That's not true," I said, louder than I meant to. Heads turned. People started watching. Lily folded her arms. "You could have helped me. You didn't have to ruin me." And then, just like that, she turned and walked away. Everyone around us stared. No one said a word. But I could feel their judgment. Heavy, suffocating. That night, I couldn't stop replaying her words. "You ruined me." Was I really the villain now? Or had I just become an easy target for her guilt? Either way, I was starting to realize something painful. Telling the truth might have been the right thing to do, but it didn't mean it would ever feel good. If your best friend twisted the truth to make you look like the bad guy, how would you defend yourself? Or would you let people believe what they want? The days blurred together after that fight. I stopped trying to talk to anyone. People had already made up their minds, and every time I walked through the hallway, I could feel their stares digging into my back. But despite everything, I couldn't stop thinking about Lily, about how desperate she'd sounded that night on the phone, about how tired she'd looked lately even before the exam. Something about it all just didn't sit right. I needed answers. Not for the gossip, not for anyone else, just for myself. So one afternoon, when I saw Lily sitting alone behind the gym after school, I gathered every bit of courage I had and walked toward her. She didn't look up until I spoke. "Lily, please, just hear me out," I said softly. "I'm not here to fight." She sighed, rubbing her temples. "Why are you even here, Maya? Haven't you done enough?" I swallowed the lump in my throat. "You're right. I reported you, but I didn't do it to hurt you. I didn't know what else to do." She laughed bitterly. "You could have talked to me." "I tried," I said. "You wouldn't listen." For a moment, neither of us spoke. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the ground. Finally, Lily whispered, "You don't get it. I wasn't just being lazy, Maya. My mom lost her job last month. My dad's been threatening to pull me out of school if my grades don't improve." I panicked. Her voice cracked, and suddenly everything made sense. The stress, the begging, the desperation in her eyes. I felt my chest tighten. "Lily, why didn't you tell me?" "Because you're the good one," she said quietly. "You always do everything right. You wouldn't understand what it's like to feel like you're drowning every single day." Tears burned my eyes. I wanted to reach out, to tell her that I would have helped her in any way I could. Tutoring, late-night study sessions, anything. But she was already wiping her cheeks, trying to hide the tears. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "I never wanted this to happen." She looked at me then, really looked at me. "It doesn't matter now," she said. "Everyone hates you. My parents hate me, and all because of one stupid exam." We sat in silence for a while, the weight of everything pressing down on both of us. When she finally stood up to leave, she said something I'll never forget. "Maybe we both did the right thing in the wrong way." And with that, she walked away. For the first time, I realized this wasn't just about cheating or rules. It was about fear, pride, and the pressure we both carried alone. If you found out your friend cheated out of desperation, would you forgive them or believe some mistakes can't be undone? After that conversation with Lily, something inside me changed. I still felt the ache, but it wasn't the same kind of pain anymore. It wasn't anger or guilt, it was understanding. Heavy, complicated, but honest. The next morning, I walked into school knowing everyone would still whisper, still judge. But for once, I didn't look down. I walked straight through the hallway with my head high. Lily didn't show up to class that day. Professor Reynolds mentioned she was meeting with the principal and her parents. I felt my heart drop, even though I'd expected it. When he looked at me, there was quiet sympathy in his eyes. After class, he called me over. "Maya," he said gently, "I know this situation hasn't been easy for either of you. I just want you to know you did the right thing. Integrity matters, even when no one's watching." I nodded, though the words felt both comforting and heavy. "She's not a bad person, sir," I said quietly. "She just made a bad choice." He gave a small smile. "That's a very mature way to see it." Still, walking out of that room felt strange. I wasn't proud of what happened, but I wasn't ashamed anymore either. It was somewhere in between. That gray area people never talk about when they tell you to always do the right thing. At lunch, I decided to sit outside instead of hiding in the library. The breeze felt good on my skin, and for the first time in days, I let myself breathe. That's when Jenna, yes, the same Jenna who had called me messed up, walked over. I froze, expecting more blame, but her tone was softer this time. Hey, she said, can I sit? I nodded slowly. She hesitated before speaking. So, I talked to Lily last night. She told us everything. About her parents, the pressure, all of it. I didn't say anything. She shouldn't have lied about you, Jenna continued. We all kind of just believed her version. I'm sorry, Maya. We should have listened before judging. Her words hit harder than I expected. Not because they fixed everything, they didn't, but because it was the first time someone saw me as more than the villain in Lily's story. It's okay, I said after a pause. I get it. I probably would have believed her too. Jenna smiled faintly. You're a better person than I'd be. For the first time in weeks, I smiled back. The world hadn't gone back to normal, not even close. But maybe, just maybe, things didn't have to stay broken forever. Would you forgive the friends who abandoned you once they finally realized the truth, or would you keep your distance to protect your peace? 2 days later, the announcement came. Lily had been suspended for academic dishonesty. Just a week, not expelled, but enough to leave a mark on her record. The halls buzzed with whispers again, only this time, they weren't about me. When I saw the empty seat beside me in psychology class, my stomach twisted. I thought I'd feel vindicated, maybe even relieved. Instead, I just felt sad. At lunch, Jenna and a few others joined me. The tension that used to hang over us was gone, replaced by awkward small talk that slowly turned into real conversation. I laughed for the first time in what felt like months. It didn't erase everything, but it reminded me that I wasn't completely alone anymore. That night, as I walked home, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Lily? Hey, can we talk? I stared at the screen for a long time. Part of me wanted to ignore it. Another part whispered that maybe, after everything, she deserved to be heard. So I agreed to meet her the next day at the park, the same place we used to hang out after exams, celebrating with ice cream and silly selfies. When I got there, Lily was already waiting on the bench, her face pale, eyes swollen from crying. For a moment, she didn't look like the confident girl who'd once ruled every room she walked into. She looked fragile. Maya, she said softly, I'm so sorry. Her voice broke on the last word and I felt my chest tighten. I know sorry doesn't fix anything, she continued, but I panicked. I lied about you. I said awful things. I was angry, and I didn't want to be the one everyone hated. I swallowed hard. You could have told the truth, Lily. You could have fixed it. I know, she whispered, but then they'd see who I really am. Scared, desperate, weak, and you were always the strong one. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The only sound was the wind rustling through the trees. I looked at her, really looked, and I didn't see my enemy anymore. I saw my best friend, flawed, scared, human. I don't hate you, I said finally, but I can't pretend everything's okay either. Trust doesn't just grow back overnight. Tears spilled down her cheeks as she nodded. I understand. I miss us, I smiled sadly. Me too. We didn't hug. We didn't cry together like in the movies. We just sat there quietly, two broken friends trying to rebuild something from the wreckage. Maybe forgiveness didn't have to mean forgetting. Maybe it just meant letting go of the anger. Would you forgive a best friend who betrayed your trust? Or would you walk away for good to protect yourself from more pain? After that day in the park, something inside me began to shift. The bitterness that had been sitting in my chest for weeks started to fade, replaced by something quieter. Acceptance. Lily didn't try to talk to me again after that. Maybe she knew we both needed space, or maybe she was too ashamed to face me again. Either way, I didn't chase her this time. For once, I focused on myself. I threw myself into studying, not to prove anything to anyone, but because it was mine, something I could control. I joined a new study group, people who didn't care about the drama, who only wanted to help each other improve. It felt strange at first, laughing with new friends, realizing that the world hadn't actually ended. It had just changed shape. One afternoon, while sitting in the library, Jenna came over again. You know, she said, dropping her bag beside me, you're kind of like famous now. I rolled my eyes. Famous for what? Being the snitch? She grinned. For having guts. Most of us would have stayed quiet, but you didn't. You stood up for yourself, and for what's right. That's not weakness, Maya. That's strength. Her words settled deep inside me. For so long, I'd associated honesty with loneliness, but now I was beginning to see it differently, as courage. That evening, I got a message from Professor Reynolds. He'd recommended me for a scholarship, something I hadn't even known he was considering. For integrity and academic excellence, the note read. I stared at the email for a long time, smiling through tears. Maybe all the pain hadn't been for nothing. Maybe doing the right thing really did lead somewhere, even if it took time. Later that week, I saw Lily in the hallway again. She looked better, calmer, more grounded. When our eyes met, she gave me a small nod. I nodded back. No words, no awkward apology, and just quiet understanding. And somehow that was enough. I realized then that forgiveness isn't a single moment. It's a slow, steady choice you make every day to stop replaying the hurt, to let the past rest, and to start living again. As I walked home that afternoon, sunlight streaming through the trees, I felt lighter than I had in months. The pain had shaped me, but it hadn't broken me. And for the first time, I was proud of that. Do you believe forgiveness is something you do for others, or something you do for your own peace of mind? A few weeks later, I was sitting in the campus cafe, notes spread out, the smell of coffee wrapping around me like comfort. The semester was almost over, and finals were coming fast. My new group had become like a small family, supportive, drama-free, peaceful. Then out of nowhere, I saw Lily walk in. My chest tightened. She looked different, tired but calmer. She spotted me almost immediately, hesitated, then walked over slowly. Hey, she said softly. Can I sit? I nodded. She sat down across from me, her hands fidgeting with the strap of her bag. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she said, I wanted to thank you. I blinked. Thank me? She nodded, eyes wet but steady. For reporting me. I hated you for it. I thought you ruined my life, but you actually saved me. I didn't know what to say. She took a deep breath. After the hearing, my parents were furious. I lost my scholarship for the semester. It was awful. But once I stopped blaming everyone else, I realized I'd been lying to myself too. I wasn't cheating because I was desperate to pass. I was cheating because I was afraid of failing, of not being enough. You forcing me to face that changed me. Her voice broke slightly. I'm retaking the class next term, and I'm doing it the right way this time. I felt tears sting my eyes. The Lily sitting in front of me wasn't the same girl who'd glared at me in anger weeks ago. This version was humbled, honest, real. I'm proud of you, I whispered. She smiled, small and genuine. You were always the strong one, Maya. I just didn't want to admit it. We talked for a while. Not like best friends again, but like two people finally at peace. When she left, she hugged me. It wasn't a grand reconciliation, just a quiet moment of closure. After she walked out, I sat there for a long time, sipping my coffee, staring at the sunlight reflecting off the window. I realized that sometimes doing the right thing doesn't just change others, it changes you. It hardens the soft parts of your heart, but also makes you gentler in the ways that matter. Later that night, I wrote in my journal, maybe integrity isn't about being perfect. Maybe it's about standing firm when everything around you tempts you to bend. And for the first time, I truly believed it. If someone who once betrayed you came back genuinely changed, would you give them another chance? Or keep your distance? Graduation day came faster than I expected. The campus was alive with laughter, the sound of cameras clicking, and friends shouting each other's names across the courtyard. I stood in my black gown, holding my cap, watching it all with a strange, quiet smile. It wasn't the celebration I had imagined years ago. No big friend group, no inside jokes echoing through the crowd. But it felt peaceful. As I walked to my seat, I caught a glimpse of Lily a few rows ahead. She turned, saw me, and gave me a small wave. I waved back. There was no awkwardness this time, just mutual respect. Two people who had walked through the fire and come out changed. During the ceremony, when my name was called for the Integrity Scholarship Award, my heart stopped for a second. The crowd clapped politely as I stood to accept it, but what mattered most wasn't the applause. It was knowing I had earned it honestly, through every lonely night and every tear I'd shed. After the ceremony, I wandered to the quiet garden behind the main hall, the same spot where Lily and I used to sit before exams. The benches were still there, worn and faded, but comforting somehow. I sat down, letting the cool breeze brush against my face, and thought about everything that had happened. The pain, the isolation, the guilt, it had all been real. But so was the growth, the strength, and the peace I'd found at the end of it all. There was a time I thought losing friends meant losing myself. Now I understood the truth, that standing alone doesn't mean being lonely. Sometimes it just means standing for something. My phone buzzed with a new message. It was from Lily. Thank you again, Maya. I passed my retake, and this time, I did it all on my own. I smiled through tears. That one message felt like closure, like proof that everything, all the pain, all the choices, had led somewhere good. As I looked up at the bright blue sky, caps flying into the air in the distance, I whispered quietly to myself, you did the right thing. And for the first time, there was no doubt, no guilt, no hesitation, just peace. Because sometimes doing what's right doesn't make you popular, it just makes you free. Would you rather be loved by everyone for doing the wrong thing or stand alone for doing what's right?